Hey everybody, it's another week of This Week in Nano where we get together with some of the core team and hear what's going on and a little bit from the Nano Center. I'm Sean from the NanoCast. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hey everybody, I'm Troy. I do public relations for the Nano Foundation. Happy to be here.
I'm Lee. I'm a protocol developer at Nano.
I'm Brian. I like to say I'm in charge of the Nano Center for right now. Glad to be here.
Sweet. Thanks guys for coming on. And let's go ahead and get started with the protocol as we tend to do. And Lee, what's going on with, the protocol?
Yeah, so last episode I talked some about confirmation height, and I noted that it brings block submitting to Nano, but I didn't talk much about what block submitting means. So with block submitting, once a transaction gets confirmed, and nodes see that it's confirmed, they won't roll the transaction back. So even if 51% of the representatives or all the representatives decide that they want to roll the transaction back and replace it with something else, nodes on the network that have seen that the transaction is confirmed won't accept that. Now, this would cause a split in the network where new nodes would see this alternate transaction because all of the representatives are voting for it. But at that point, it would become clear what's going on and that the confirmed transaction was confirmed first and that representatives are behaving badly. So that's why block submitting is very helpful to Nano, and I'm excited for confirmation height and bringing that.
Yeah, I had seen, people had posted a possible attack vectors before where you could basically insert a block or a transaction and then wait, 3 or 4 months and then try and reverse the voting on it and mess the whole kind of ledger up. And not that was a real issue before, but that is completely solved now, correct? With block cementing?
Yeah, so a node will only receive a block once it thinks it's confirmed, and at that same time when it thinks it's confirmed, it will refuse to roll it back. So by tying those two things together, we can make sure that confirmation stays.
And so basically, it's now, instead of reaching out to the network for confirmation on past blocks, you just know yourself, right? It's just now storing that in the database locally.
Yeah, exactly. The name confirmation height comes from the way we store it, but what it's doing is exactly that, storing confirmation in the database.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of like a very big feature that was just kind of thrown into, all of a sudden, like that it's coming. And this was actually fun. I was on a call with Colin and Lee about something. We were going through the white paper and what changes need to be made a couple of weeks ago. And they just started talking and basically just figured this out within probably 5 minutes. It was unreal, to be honest. I just shut up. I just stayed quiet and was just like, magic's happening.
Were there any words used that you were like, what does that even mean?
Honest to God, they just were going, and I was like, I'm just gonna schedule a daily call where I just like get you guys working on something, and then I just step back because it was really, really funny. It was probably there's like I don't know why I just muted myself. There was a couple things, and they just went for probably 20-30 minutes and just were like ticking boxes off on protocol development stuff that they wanted to add. It was awesome. It was very funny.
This is not what we were planning on talking about, but Lee, do you feel like you work really well with Colin in that way?
Yeah, I do. I feel like when we talk about protocol, his experience over time is really helpful, and I feel like having a new perspective on that too is helpful, and I feel like we work well together because of that combination, someone who's new to the protocol and someone who's been developing this protocol for a long time.
Yeah, and I feel like Lee has a very good knowledge of like other protocols too, of kind of different things that different other blockchains are trying out, and he's really able to bring a lot of those ideas or thoughts on what we can integrate into Nano, implement into Nano, and it's like you said, it's just a fresh set of eyes, a fresh opinion on how we can do different things, and then Colin is basically all I mean, he's just done the Nano protocol for, I guess, 3 years now, which seems crazy.
Now, Lee, you said this is confirmation height and block cementing is something that's coming soon. Do you have any projected dates on when that will be?
We're hoping to get it into version 17, but on that note, version 17 is currently a bit held up because the network has been experiencing some problems. We've been seeing high CPU and memory usage recently. This started occurring around the same time as Epoch blocks. We don't think they're directly connected, but they may be indirectly connected. Our current working theory, and this may prove to be wrong in some parts or maybe wrong entirely, who knows, is that so old nodes don't understand Epoch blocks, and if a fork occurs, they won't understand why a block that came after an Epoch block could win. So they'll keep asking for confirmation on the losing block when the block that depends on an Epoch block has already won. And that can generate a lot of network traffic, especially if you have a lot of old peers. We don't have too many, but our current theory is that that's causing an increase in vote traffic, which is causing these problems. So we're working to resolve this in the next version.
Cool. And go ahead, Troy.
Well, I was just going to say, so yeah, it's only nodes. Epoch blocks were introduced in version 15. So anything before version 15 just doesn't understand them. So if you're out there and you haven't upgraded your nodes, or please do, would be a big help. A lot of these ones, we aren't exactly sure who's running these old nodes that are just basically not maintained anymore. But there are a number of them out there. And it seems to be interfering with some stuff, but it's not long-term, not an issue at all. It's just right here. It's just a little blocker. So working to get past it.
Yeah, and the next version will also probably be adding we'll be bumping up the minimum protocol version to that where Epoch blocks were introduced. So that will make sure that they don't interfere with the network anymore.
Yeah, we did a similar thing when we did universal blocks back in version 11, where I think we bumped it up to version 9 or 10, and just de-peered all of the lower version nodes.
Cool. And so you were talking about Epoch blocks, so let's just step back and talk about how the rollout went.
Yeah, so we've only rolled out one Epoch block from right now, but we sent Nano from that account to KuCoin, and then from there it spread to Binance and most of the active network. So a lot of accounts by now are upgraded. We haven't rolled out the Epoch blocks for inactive accounts yet. We'd like to get the network issues figured out first. But in terms of how the active rollout is going via the, Troy was talking about it, sort of like a virus, even though, it has a positive effect.
Antidote.
Antidote. Doesn't antidote really spread though?
I don't know. So that's the problem I was having when I was trying to talk about it last week, is I just kept ending up at virus.
I saw a comment on Reddit that I think qualifies it well, which is it's a virus, but it's because the network was programmed for this particular virus.
Yeah, it's a good virus, a friendly virus. It sounds like a really bad children's book that could go on your bookshelf behind you, Sean. The friendly virus.
Yeah, that's right.
Just a vaccine. Just stepping in. Just a vaccine.
Vaccine? That's good.
Yeah, but that applies if the network was sick before, which we don't
That's true. That's also true. See, it's very tough.
Fine. This needs to all be edited out.
And wait till we call on you, Brian. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No, I think we interrupted Lee. Lee, what were you saying?
Yeah, so aside from those performance issues, which seem to be caused by old nodes, the rollout's going quite well. We haven't noticed any, we haven't noticed any other problems, basically. Accounts are getting upgraded as we expected, and everything's behaving normally as far as we can see, besides those old nodes that don't understand it.
I'm trying to remember. Did you come up? Did we just figure out that we could just do it this way for the active accounts on the same phone call you did confirmation height? I'm pretty sure.
Did I? I don't think
I
that
think
was
so.
the same.
I think we were just checking off boxes that day. All right, we'll move on.
Yeah, Lee masterminded version 1819 in 2021 in 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes.
Flat. All right. Well, that was a lot of information, a lot of great information. And I think it's a good time to move on to the Nano Center and hear a lot more good information from Brian.
Hey, yeah, sorry. Actually on Discord right now. So James today, so I guess yesterday, in terms of this video, opened up the open beta for Nano Quake, which is pretty exciting. We're looking for some testers. We're not opening up to everyone just yet. We're not doing a Reddit announcement, that kind of thing. But we're gonna hopefully get 10 to 20 testers and start using this system. You know, he has like an integrated Nano wallet in there. He's updated the installation guides. I'm looking right now. He has a Windows installation guide. And it seems to be working for people. People are jumping in and they're installing it within, 5-10 minutes. So everything's kind of locked and loaded, ready to go. And so yeah, you should jump on if you're watching this video. Come to the Discord. Instructions are up top, pinned to the top. And there's always a dev or two there that's, ready to answer your questions.
Locked and loaded was very fitting. That was well done.
Thank you. I wrote it down last night. It took a couple hours, but it felt good. So
I think I managed to get the Quake stuff installed in about 10 minutes. I asked a lot of questions, and I crashed the server a number of times. But I think about 10 minutes. And
the average user should be about 5. So that gives you guys
exactly. That's why I wanted to give this baseline. Is I just wanted to let you know if you're taking more than 10 minutes, maybe it's not for you.
Right. Yeah. So it's exciting. It'll be fun. Yeah. It'll be interesting down the road to see where this goes. Just from Quake, if maybe to other games. I know people have been toying with ideas like Minecraft and anything really. I don't know what's possible and what's not, but it's fun. And I know the gaming community knows about Nano some from Twitch. And I think this kind of thing is only a good thing. It's more exposure. It shows the utility.
Proof of concept. It's an awesome proof of concept. Show how it can be integrated in different ways that you can integrate it. And then, hopefully moves to different games. Hopefully we get the Nano game. I'm waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I envision us all playing together. I think it'd be a fun thing we can do like once a week, or have people jump in and put like a pod at 10 nano or whatever, and go from there. So it's exciting. It's gonna be fun.
Only 10.
I don't know. Try it.
You can't have the high roller game where it's like
the bear market.
12, 13. Okay.
I think Lee needs to design an Epoch block like thing for playing Nano in game, so we can just
chucking Epoch blocks. It's you could really kind of go with Donkey Kong right there with where he's dropping the barrels. It could just be Lee dropping Epoch blocks. That would work.
Sounds like the next cover photo for an article about Lee.
I think we'll have Lee keep working on protocol instead of developing that, but maybe one time.
All right, Brian, back to you.
Other than that, I know the website, so I'm working on a lot on the wiki myself right now, trying to get creators in to kind of dump in information. But for the website, my hope, at least like a soft target, is about 2 weeks for the release of the website. So, inevitably they'll be delayed by a few days at least, but hopefully we can get there, and hopefully everyone likes what it turns out to be. I think it's gonna be pretty nice. So.
Sweet. All right. Well, this past week in the Nanosphere, a big event happened. It was a 1-year anniversary of the Nano Fossett being closed. Troy, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just wanted to cover it a little bit. We're really proud that we didn't run an ICO or do anything like that. We're really proud of how we distributed pretty much with the goal of just being as fair as possible and letting everybody get involved. When the Fossett was launched, the whole reasoning behind that was because we didn't want to have to, or Colin didn't want to have to rely on people that have the mining hardware available, because that just kind of limits who can take part. And we didn't want to do an ICO because you just go down these the the path of a security token or a security. So yeah, it was, it's obviously a very unique method of distribution, one that's asked about often. You know, a lot of people assume that Nano was an ICO. So I was glad to get, you know, our post covering it out last week as kind of like a reference point. But then it's just, it's unbelievable that it's been a year since they closed. Just looking at how far the project has come since then. It's been just under a year since I got involved in Rayblocks. So just from where we were back in November last year to where we are now, it's just not even on the same planet.
So what you're saying is you stepped in and took it to a whole new level.
I don't like to say that publicly.
Okay, well, to celebrate, you know, coincidentally, we also got listed on a pretty big Chinese exchange.
Yeah, Huobi. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Huobi. I did confirm. I believe that is the correct pronunciation. But yeah, awesome event. One of the 3 biggest exchanges in the world. We're now on Binance, OKEX, and Huobi. I think those might be the top 3. I was talking to a lot of the members of our Chinese community last week and asking them, you know, well, which exchanges do you use? You know, they use Binance a lot, but Huobi is the big one that they use, and that's where they can purchase Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies directly with fiat, which is always important. You know, you've seen with Coinbase, obviously, like that's their thing, and how much money that they've been able to make off of that. So Huobi just gives us just a larger market over in Asia, and it really, this timing is just going to pair great with some of the initiatives that we're working on over there currently.
What do you mean by initiatives?
So I covered a few weeks ago, I did a spotlight on Nano Cashier, which is he goes by Jelly Bull. And he is pretty much just taken the reins of the Chinese community. And they are launching a website that is going to be basically like a forum / information hub for Chinese users over there. You know, they don't have something as much as Reddit like we do, where we can kind of save threads and comments and whatnot, so you can look back on them. Instead, a lot of this stuff right now is on WeChat, which is more like a Telegram, where it just runs through. And like, I'm sure using Discord, you can see or Telegram, you see how quickly information gets lost. You can literally answer a question and then it's asked again 5 minutes later because it's no longer on the screen. So we're really kind of working to solve those issues over there, where we can just have an information hub. We can have a area where the community can come and chat, get information on Nano, get technical information, get pretty much anything that they're looking for. And we just it's a small community over there right now, but they're unbelievably dedicated. And I am very, very excited to see where we can get to by the end of the year.
Cool. I'm pretty excited too.
I mean, it's one of the biggest areas where Nano can grow, right? If you look at the pain points of where things that Nano has to solve, that's probably number 1 as far as which can make the biggest impact, you know, on the market and whatnot. We have an unbelievable, if we look at our English speaking social media stats, we're like a top 15 coin, right? Compared to the other coins. We have an unbelievable, I think we have the 7th most active subreddit of any cryptocurrency. We have an unbelievably and most of our conversations happen in Discord. So it's just, you know, it's such an area that we can grow, and, you know, that's where we're going to be putting resources to see where we can get and hopefully grow this community out pretty big towards the end of the year.
Cool. And that's just the beginning. Then we can start taking on all the other.
That's right. And then, you know, it's going to the conferences and getting feet on the ground and doing the booths and that kind of stuff. But
at
we're
some
just
point,
trying to, yeah,
at some
we're
point
just
you're
trying
going
to
to
build
learn
this.
Chinese, though.
I've started, and I'm very bad at it.
Okay.
Very bad, but it's all about building these foundations right now, right? Like just building stuff that we can then grow out of, or grow from. So that's what we're working on right now. And I've been so excited. I've been waking up at probably 5 a.m. here and just getting on WeChat and, organizing them, helping them with whatever they need help with, and really excited about what they're doing over there.
Cool. All right. Another thing this past week was focusing on node incentives. That's been a huge question of Nano ever since I got started with it. I feel like every week there's 2 or 3 questions about why would people do this when there's master node networks? Not that they pay much money, but people seem to think they do. And we kind of look at, when you talk about running a node for a cryptocurrency, running nodes are not all created equal, right? Like some nodes are going to cost you a significant amount of money, and if you don't get a return on that, you're just, there almost needs to be an incentive. What we're focused on doing is making running a node for $5 a month a possibility, right? If you can run a node and fully participate in security for $5 a month, then the actual financial incentives aren't as necessary, right? Instead, we can look at incentives like, well, first, if you're running a node, you're going to be directly interacting with the network, right? We've seen companies like exchanges, we've seen companies like wallet providers or payment processors. They're obviously not going to be interacting with the network through a third party because they're kind of in charge of funds. So they want to do it directly, and one way to do that, or the way to do that, is to run a node and then become a representative. And it's really interesting to me when you go down on Nanode or whatnot, when you have the aliases currently of the most of the top representatives are all services that are similar to that. And then we also have a ton of users that are just running nodes to support the network. So we've talked a little bit about the representative lists in the past. And that's one of the things that we're really, and I touched on it in the article, that's one of the things we're really looking to build out as kind of like a incentive for running a representative, where you could advertise a business, right? Like, so let's say, for example, Bitcoin Superstore, who accepts Nano, if they run a node, they're on there and they can send out any kind of promotions, they can advertise promotions. When you're scrolling down Nanode, you see, hey, Bitcoin Superstore is right there, and they are supporting the network security. And it's really just advertising for a trivial fee. So it's just going to be working to get that, the cost of running a node down to, and it's stuff we're working on with vote stapling and vote by hash and lazy bootstrapping to just basically decrease the amount of bandwidth required on the network. And hopefully we get it down to where we're talking trivial amounts to run a node, and instead we just can allow anybody to participate to the point where it kind of doesn't make sense to not run a node. Obviously, these small businesses, I hear it a lot. Why would every small business run a node? They're not going to have to, right? We don't need 50,000 or 100,000 businesses running nodes. They can just use Brain Blocks or Kite Pay or Nano Cashier, but there will be ones built around interacting directly with the blockchain, and they will be running representatives. Great. And I mean, I think that people often compare the nodes to Nano as with the nodes to Bitcoin. And I think there's absolutely a correlation there. If you have a good network that's solving problems, then people want that network to exist.
I saw a stat last week that 13,000 people are running Ethereum nodes at a loss right now. I mean, so, we'll see. Well, obviously there's people that disagree with us, and there's people that agree with us, and we like debating it, and we'll see going forward.
Yeah, that is interesting too, to think about. Yeah, just the idea of running a node that people are never going to lose money on, like that kind of being a goal.
Right.
Obviously they're not making money, but you know what I mean.
Right, but these businesses will be making, I mean, the whole goal of these businesses is to be making money, interacting directly with the network, and the amount that they're spending to run the node will be trivial compared to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being able to use their own nodes instead of parties to get transactions sent through to the network and confirmed.
Right. And the network offers just natural economic incentives. It's feeless to transact on, Jesus. And it's the transactions are basically instant, 2 or 3 seconds. So there's natural incentives built into the network, and running nodes will allow you to kind of take advantage of this.
Yeah, I think people mistake often the need for there to be a financial incentive for everything in crypto, because that's largely what they're used to in the market. You know, I see a lot of those other coins out there with the master nodes and everything else that pay like a certain amount monthly or however they do it. But, you know, like Troy was saying, with Nano, you don't need that. Like, it should happen organically if it happens the way we think it will.
Right. And the whole thing, you know, the big difference is just the cost of consensus on these different networks. And our cost of consensus is incredibly low. And we aim for it to be the lowest of any coin. So, you know, that's kind of the route that we're taking. You know, obviously, if you're having to pay $1,000 a month to run a node, you're going to need, no one's going to run it without getting some sort of money back. And we're just kind of going the opposite way here. Right.
And not every merchant needs to run a node. Like Troy was saying, you know, it's made 25% can, and you still have an enormous number that's going to provide stability to the network.
I mean, if you're looking at if there's mass adoption, it's 1%, it's 0.5%.
Sure.
And I mean, you're not even talking about anything. We're close to 25%. You're talking about, you know, a few thousand. I mean, we're looking at, you know, universities running nodes, meetup groups running nodes, right? Like if I have a Boston meetup group, we could run a representative between us. You could come to my Boston meetup, learn, you know, meet everybody that you're delegating your votes to. You can discuss the network and any issues that you have, and then, you know, present those issues to the wider community. So it's stuff like that we're working on, and you know, hopefully can kind of start rolling that all out next year.
Cool. And that leads us to the last major thing we want to touch on today, which is the community spotlight, Nanolet. Did I say that right? Nanolet.
I think so. Yeah, Nanolet.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the cooler wallets. It's very unique and different than the other ones, for the reason that it doesn't operate on a back-end server. Lee, have you looked into Nanolet much?
I haven't. I did know that we've been trying to make something like this possible with recent additions to the node, like the lazy bootstrapping protocol was added for the server in, I think, recent version.
So 15.
15, okay.
In talking to him, he said 15 allowed this to happen. Once version 15 was put in, it could happen, because then you could get the pending transactions for accounts. So he's basically just querying the network as if you were an account and getting the last block and then validating the previous blocks on the account chain based on that. It's very cool. It's very cool. And he's come up with a number of different different improvements since he launched in March. And the one that he just came out with, I think 2 weeks ago, is a form of on-chain alias, which basically abuses open blocks, the fact that each account can only have one open block, and that can't be changed, obviously, unless the consensus fails. So he abuses that as a form of on-chain alias, which is just really cool. You know, there wasn't before. We hadn't figured out how to do any kind of on-chain alias directly, and this is a very simple kind of solution. And that now gives us, you know, we have the OpenCap project that's being developed as an off-chain alias. And then we have this option on-chain. So I would imagine aliases will be coming.
Cool. Yeah. And I was saying before, I think it's really cool that Nano is kind of this novel idea of a blockchain, a way to kind of rethink how a blockchain works, and the way that Nanolet is developing these on-chain node backend server alias stuff is also really novel. So it's pretty cool.
We just love things like this where we wake up again, and I've touched on it before, but like, oh, this is a new thing that we can do using, you know, on the network that this hadn't been thought of before, and like, oh, that's very cool. So it's always cool to see. I hope he keeps developing stuff. We'll kind of push him to.
Sweet. Well, I think that about wraps up this week. Sorry for the longer episode. Just had a ton to touch on. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Bye.